This is just going to be some girl talk because I need to tell you how stupid I've been with my estrogen patch. But at the time, I didn't know I was doing something wrong. I didn't know that it was a stupid move. And I'm sure a lot of you all out there watching this video might know this, and you're going to be laughing at me the entire story. You're going to be shaking your head. You're going to be yelling at your phone at me saying, Renee, how are you so dumb? But I'm making this video and putting myself out there in all of my dumbness because I feel like if I didn't know this, there are lots of you that don't know it either. So here we go. Let me tell you what I've gotten myself into. So hey there, ladies. Today's video is a very crazy, hilarious, but very true kind of chatty girl talk story about my hormone replacement therapy estrogen patch. You will not believe what I've done. I, now looking back on it, can't believe what I've done. And this video is part of the series where I've documented my hysterectomy, which is 6 months ago, getting started on hormone replacement therapy and how things are going for me. And I know so many of you all who watch my channel are in the exact same boat as I am. You're either in menopause naturally or you've had a hysterectomy, your ovaries were removed and you were thrown into surgical menopause, which was me. And I started taking the estrogen patch about 3 to 4 weeks after my surgery, and everything has been fine up until about a month and a half ago. So let me just get into this girl talk, story time, hysterectomy, chitty chat, and let me tell you what I've done. So I had my hysterectomy 6 months ago. My ovaries were removed. I was put into surgical menopause, and pretty shortly after my surgery, about 3 to 4 weeks, my doctor prescribed the Estradiol patch. And I've done several videos about this patch. It is a little teeny patch that's just barely bigger than the size of my thumbnail, and you put it high up on your hip. I change my patch twice a week, every Monday and every Thursday. So the story I'm going to tell you in today's video is not the story I told you in this video about my husband finding my patch on the floor of the shower and freaked out and didn't want to touch it because he was afraid that he would get girly hormones on his hands. This is not that story, although that story was pretty funny. So ever since I've been on the patch, about 5 months, everything has been fine. I've had zero menopause symptoms. My night sweats completely stopped. I have not had hot flashes. I have been sleeping like a baby. I have had zero, nothing, not a single menopause symptom. So I live in Western Kentucky. It is the middle of the summer. We had a massive off the charts heat wave here where the daily temperatures were in the hundreds. The heat index on most days was in the 100 and teens, and it got so brutal that I could not go out on my morning walk. Even at 7 o'clock in the morning, some days the temperature was already 80 degrees, the heat index in the 90s, and when I walk, I'm pretty much in full sunshine for, most of my walk, and it just was on most days for about 6 weeks unbearable. And I couldn't walk my dogs because they just can't take the heat. So instead of my morning walk, I started getting in my swimming pool every morning, and I developed a little workout routine. I did laps, I did treading water, I did some stretches, some exercises, some arm things, my little workout routine. So I did that, I would say, at least 5 days a week for 4 to 5 to 6 weeks. And on the days that I was able to walk, I did go out on my walk. So last week, it was time for my 1-year visit with my annual just family physician. She is a woman doctor. And so I went in the week before my visit with her and had my lab work. You draw your blood, you pee in the cup and all the things. And so by the time that I met with my doctor, she had all my lab results. About 2 weeks before my doctor's visit, which would have been 1 week before I went in and did my lab work, I noticed just all of a sudden weird random changes. All of my menopause symptoms were back in full force. I was having hot flashes during the day. I started having night sweats, not full-blown night sweats like I was before I started the estrogen patch, but night sweats enough that I would wake up and I would be extremely warm. I would have to put my feet out of the covers. I would pull the covers down. I wasn't breaking out in a huge sweat, but it would definitely wake me up. And this would happen 1 or 2 times a night. And I also was having a hard time sleeping. I either couldn't fall asleep, or if I could fall asleep, I was not sleeping well. I just wasn't getting into a deep sleep. I was dreaming. I was waking up all night long. Everything was just weird. And I mentioned it to my husband. I'm like, what do you think is going on? And I thought perhaps because I am taking the lowest dose of estrogen. I use a patch that is 0.0375 milligrams. I thought maybe because I'm 6 months past my hysterectomy that I need to go up a dose. Maybe this just isn't strong enough. And I have an upcoming visit scheduled with my gynecologist surgeon about 2 months from now. So I'd planned on discussing all of these issues with him and just expected that he would increase my dosage. No biggie, right? So in the meantime, I had my scheduled visit with my family doctor. So I go in, she's like, hey Renee, how's it going? You're looking great. And I said, thanks, I am feeling really good. And she said, I see you've had your hysterectomy, which, she knew I was going to do. And we kind of talked about it. I told her I was feeling fantastic. My energy was back. Everything went as well as it could be expected, and that I thought I was feeling great, and I really thought that she would see on paper how great I was doing. So she sits down and she opens her computer and she's looking at my lab work. And she said, wow, your blood work is great. I'm no longer anemic. My cell count was through the roof. It was fantastic. My urine was good. My thyroid, my blood sugar, my liver, my kidneys, everything is great. And then all of a sudden she stopped and she said, your cholesterol number is off the chart. What in the world is going on here? She said, there is no way this is right. She said, let me pull out the last couple of years of blood work. Let's look at the cholesterol level because I don't remember you having a cholesterol problem, which I don't. So she pulled out the last 3 years of cholesterol. They're all perfect. She said, something's not right here. Like, we got to figure out what's going on. So she starts talking to me, and we're talking about this estrogen patch, and she said, your cholesterol is certainly estrogen driven. It is hormone driven. And I said, well, it's weird because in the past couple weeks, all of these menopause things are happening. The night sweats and the hot flashes, and I can't sleep, and it's just weird. And I told her that I thought I was probably going to need to increase the dosage on my estrogen patch. And I said, but I have a really weird question for you. It's been really hot, and instead of my walk, I've been going on this swim. And I said, do you think there is any chance that because I'm spending so much time in the pool and submersed in water, that my estrogen patch is getting diluted with water and I'm not getting my estrogen? And she said, Renee! You can't go swimming in an estrogen patch. And I said, what do you mean? Like, what? She said, oh, this patch is not made for swimming. You can wear the patch. It's fine to get in the shower. It's just going to get a little bit wet, but it is not submersible. You can't go swimming in your estrogen patch. This is exactly the problem. You are not getting your hormones. The hormones are getting diluted and essentially washed away every time I would get in the swimming pool. So for the past 4 or 5 weeks, every time I would get in the pool, I was losing all my hormones. I have not had hormones in at least 5 weeks. 0, because I have been in the pool probably every single day. She laughed at me and said, how did you not know that? And I didn't know that. And I said, well, I just thought it is stuck on there. It stays on in the shower. I get out of the pool. It felt like it was firmly attached to me. It never occurred to me, I guess because it's a clear patch. I just don't see it. It never occurred to me that water would get underneath it and wash away the hormones. I assumed it was a waterproof patch. She said, it is not a waterproof patch. My doctor said, if you are going to go swimming, you have got to cover your estrogen patch with a waterproof Band-Aid. Who would have thought? So I leave her office, I go directly to my grocery store, and I find these Next Care clear waterproof, they're Band-Aids. It is the only thing that I could find that was any form of a waterproof bandage. And they are completely clear other than the little padded Band-Aid area, but they stick to you like glue, and these suckers are not coming off. So the day after my doctor's appointment actually kicked off a holiday weekend here, and my daughter was in town for the weekend. We had beautiful weather. We were going to be in the pool all weekend, having margaritas and grilling out, and lots of pool time, lots of time in the water. So at the beginning of the weekend, I put on a brand new fresh estrogen patch, and I covered it with one of these waterproof Band-Aids, and I had my husband look at it to make sure that the estrogen patch was fully covered. It's high up here on my hip, and the waterproof Band-Aid was on it and sealed really good, and I swam for 3 straight days with that waterproof Band-Aid on there. And finally, on the day that I needed to change my patch and I pulled that Band-Aid off, it was so securely stuck to my booty that I don't think there's any way that I lost any of my estrogen going swimming. So now that time has passed and I have had the estrogen patch on and I've had it covered and I know what's going on, my menopause symptoms have stopped again. No more hot flashes, no more night sweats. I've been able to sleep. I'm sleeping like a rock. Like my head hits the pillow, my eyes shut, and I am out for 8 solid hours. So this is all to say that estrogen, for me at least, is critical to my health, because I now know I've had 2 instances right after the surgery and this whole debacle with me getting in the swimming pool. I realize how much the estrogen helps me on my daily function, my daily life. The quality of my sleep is drastically impacted by whether I am getting my hormones. How I sleep, the length of time that I sleep, the quality of sleep, whether I'm waking up from night sweats, whether I'm having night sweats, and I was even starting to have hot flashes during the day when I was not getting my estrogen. So I now fully understand how important estrogen is to my quality of life and how my body functions and reacts when I am not getting the proper amount of estrogen. So this was just a lesson learned, and for you ladies out there that go swimming and you wear an estrogen patch, cover it with a waterproof Band-Aid. Now I know in hindsight I can look back at what I've done and know how silly of me that I did not realize that I needed to cover my patch. But honestly, I just didn't realize that I needed to cover the estrogen patch. I assumed it's stuck on me, it's waterproof, and I never gave it another thought. But apparently I was wrong. So I hope by me sharing my silly actions in this video that you all have learned something from me and you don't make the same mistake. Now, laugh out loud. Go ahead, shout at me, write it in the comments. I know I probably should have known, but I just didn't. So, lesson learned. See you later.